So, Rust. It's a game where you spawn on a beach, run for 15 minutes, die, and have to respawn at the same beach you started at. It ain't a game for everybody, but with friends, it's quite enjoyable. And I am here to talk about it. In my eyes, Rust is split into two parts, the prep part and the raid part. The prep is everything you need to do to raid someone's base, and the raid is, well, raiding someone's base. I try to look at it that way to reduce frustration and simplify the game in general. Not everyone looks at it that way, but I do. So deal with it. So let's start with the prep. The very first thing you will do, next to waking up on a beach with nakeds around you that are out for blood, farming. There are different things you can farm and different things you can use to farm. There's wood, stone, metal and sulfur ores. Each of them can be used to craft things or to trade. You farm by hitting the resource at the sweet spot with your tool. That way you get the most out of it. You should also keep in mind that the better the tool, the more resources you will get. And please, deposit often. There's nothing more frustrating than dying to a grub with a full inventory of resources. Totally didn't happen to me, and I totally didn't rage quit the instant it happened. Those aren't the only resources, however. Next to all that, there's also components and scrap. Components are kind of trash you can craft into weapons of mass destruction, or recycle with recyclers for some decent resources. And scrap is the universal currency of the game. You can use it to buy stuff, research stuff, and best of all, gamble. Scraps and components you can find in barrels along the road or at monuments. Monuments are places on the map that have a proper name instead of just coordinates. There's a lot of risk and reward gimmicks going on with monuments. Some of them have bad loot, but also low player traction. Others, on the other hand, have, as the youngsters would say, goated loot. But there will be a higher chance of bumping into heavily geared players. In monuments, you can also find various crates that give you good or very good loot. Some monuments even require you to have a keycard or solve a puzzle to get to the juicy loot. Now, it's not really a monument, but I will mention it. There is an entire subway tunnel system under the map. It offers great loot, but also very easy to die and lose everything. Of course, it wouldn't be a survival game without hunger and thirst. These are both stats you have to maintain to not die. You don't die the moment your hunger or thirst reaches zero, but you do start taking damage. Water you can either find or drink from lakes, not from the oceans, since it's salt water. Food you can also find or hunt. There are animals on the map you can kill for food and some extra resources. If you feel particularly fancy, you can also do some fishing. It's the best food in the game, stat-wise. It does take a bit longer to catch compared to conventional hunting or scavenging, but it gives great food, and you can even sell it for scrap. And if you're ever hungry and there's nothing around, but you're desperate to eat something, anything, you can
consume the flesh of the innocent.
Make sure to cook it first though. Alright, once you're well fed, hydrated, and gathered enough resources, you can build a base. There's a lot of freedom when it comes to base designs. You can follow a tutorial or just wing it on your own. It's important to make a strong base for a few reasons. 1, you have to keep your loot safe. 2, you have to keep your bag safe, because running across the entire map every time you die isn't ideal. And 3, you must assert your dominance with the clans around you. But remember, the bigger the base, the smaller the peanut. Lastly, for the prep part, I will talk about something you will likely put in your base. That being the workbench and research table. They are a crucial part of your progression as the wipe goes on. Both of them allow you to learn and then craft new things. It does come at a scrap cost though. Okay, nice. Now we can get to the raid part of the game. So as I just said, you and other people can build bases. But let's say you just don't like your neighbors, or you just happen to know that one of the clan members came back with some juicy loot and depoted it at their base. Well, then you have the option to raid them. With all the resources you gathered, you can craft weapons, explosives, armor, and more to raid your target. There's two major types of raids: a normal raid and an eco raid. A normal raid goes pretty much as you'd expect. It's a big all-in. Explosions everywhere, bullets nearly missing your head, and all that. Most of the time, these types of raids result in pretty great loot. Of course, it's different from target to target since you're basically stealing their loot. Next to normal raids, there are eco raids. You can identify an eco raid by one distinct feature, that being 3 nakeds banging at your door with bone knives. It's a type of raid encountered in the early game when people don't have any good weapons or defense. For example, shacks or wooden doors. You rarely get any good loot out of it, to be honest. Most of the time it's just some trash and some resources. If you have an abundance of melee weapons, go for it. But the person you're raiding isn't your only worry. Raiding makes a lot of noise, and thus a lot of players will be attracted to your location. There's one specific type of player that is especially annoying. Imagine you went shopping. You bought yourself some nice new clothes and maybe even a new phone. You're happy that you got what you wanted from the hard-earned money you were saving up. But then a homeless man throws a rock at you and it just happens to hit your hand in such a way that you pass out. And then you get robbed by said homeless man. Those are grubs in Rust. They don't risk anything, but if they kill you when you have all your loot on you, they get it all. And when that happens, all of a sudden the Alt and F4 buttons start looking very attractive. So either be extremely careful, especially around bushes, or moving groups. The more the merrier. With all this, you can kind of see that there's a quite significant learning curve, from knowing where and when to go, to being able to use weapons effectively. There's a lot. So don't be surprised if the very first time you play this game, you will suck complete ass. Because as fun as Rust is, it stays a difficult game. I should also put a disclaimer. If you are of the weak-hearted people and easily get offended, stay away from this game. Racism and other morally questionable topics are guaranteed to be brought up, so be ready for that. Of course, it's against the TOS, but people don't seem to care. So that's it. A bit of a shorter video, but everything you need to know has more or less been said. I truly hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.